Greetings and welcome to the podcast. I'm here with Colin for the Video Game Book Club. Fucked up my whole script. The
Brad didn't
rules are
make it.
no, he didn't. The rules are simple. One person picks a game, and then you got to beat that game in a month. If you beat it, you get to pick the next game for everyone to play with once your month comes around. It was my month. I picked Dante's Inferno, and it's a good game. Sound design. I,
You can't say
I
it's
think
a good. You can't just start with that.
it's a good game. It's
That's
a good
not
game.
even true.
To be continued, all right?
Sound design. I don't know. Moaning. That's
There is
half.
lots of moaning.
It's moaning and a grown man going Beatrice, Beatrice. That's
True.
half the game. I, Forgettable. I don't even remember any music in this shit.
Well, I do, and the music that they do have has like this orchestral chorus like shit that's going on, and I really liked those parts. I liked that when you crawled on walls, it was just a bunch of like people being upset that they're in hell. Um,
That shit was cool. You could hear people, like if you got close to the people you had to absolve, you could kind of hear them like talking as you got
yeah,
closer. That was cool.
like overall sound design's all right. It shines in some places and in other places it's just not like it's not that important. It's not abrasive nor is it outstanding. It's not coming in with like a doom soundtrack. It's coming in with more of like a laid back um
There's some
thing.
bad sound effect. Do the cross attack? That shit gets pretty annoying. It's like a ching ching ching.
Yeah, cuz you do have to hear it a lot. Like a lot.
Yeah, the whole final boss is mashing one button.
Um like most console games menus suck. Um That's about it. Graphics.
I mean it looks good for the time.
Yeah, I wish I could have made it look better, but there was some problems I had. Like it did that old game thing where it like some animations in the background are like very clearly running at 30 or 15 frames a second. Um
Could have used more color.
yes, it's a lot of grays and oranges and blacks and reds and brown. Like the color palette is it's hell. So, I mean, you're going through hell. Um,
Surprisingly no piss filter for the era it came from.
yeah, no piss filter. This game would not look good with a no game looks good with a piss filter. Oh, fucking Max Payne 3. That's it. That's the worst.
Resident Evil, dude.
Resident
Five.
Evil. It looks so after you guys are done watching this video, go watch a side by side of Resident Evil 3 with the filter on and with the Resident Evil 5 with the filter on and with the filter off, and it's insane. I don't know why they chose that
It's so
choice.
because it looks really good and then it just looks worse.
Aesthetically, I love this game. I feel like they captured hell really well, and the atmosphere was great. Um,
It was okay. It depends on the some parts, yeah, some parts, no.
I feel like they went a little easy on the lust portion, especially pertaining to how like freely they throw boobs and later on cock in your face. Like I feel like they could have done a lot more with the lust portion.
The coolest one's probably Greed.
Greed is cool, but it gives birth to the worst enemy.
Well, the level's horrible, but the aesthetically the level looks good. But yeah, it's horrible
Yeah.
to play.
Uh, like yeah, no, all of the levels like are really good in the sense that like it fully captures like the sin that it's portraying. Like greed is just a bunch of like coins that are melted down in gold and people getting dipped into gold and people being used in various different ways to keep the gold machines running and it's a very molten like hot area. Um Gluttony was also really good. Gluttony I liked aesthetically. Also, all right, each of these levels that I really like pertaining to level design, not necessarily level for the player. Um, they all come with an enemy that I fucking hate. So that needs to be said right now. Like as you traverse through the game, you'll just be like, this fucking guy. I hate this guy because
Which
there's
is
not a lot
crazy.
of
Yeah, I was
enemies.
gonna say there's barely any enemies anyway. So if you hate one each level, you basically hate every enemy.
Yeah. Um, enemy design wise, like they look pretty fucking good. Like they get interesting. Um, my favorite are the unborn children that use umbilical cords as their belts, even though they don't have clothes on. So that's kind of weird. But yeah, enemy designs are great.
mm,
Um,
what? Skeletons and horses is all I remember, dude. I don't know about great.
the the big bulbous fucking tanks, from the gluttony place. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
really
yeah.
like those. Um,
The
I like
worms
the
are
way
kind
that
of cool.
yeah, the Medusas look nice, even though those are the worst enemy in the whole game. Those fucking Medusas.
Are those the
Um,
fast ones that just dodge as soon as
yeah,
you try to
that
hit them?
dodge
Yeah.
everything, and you can't like counter their counter attack. That enemy sucks. We'll get to that. Um, but yeah, like architecture is great. It pulled the game together for me. That whole like capturing what hell is.
Some of it. Uh, I don't know. It definitely. I feel like it started off strong and got kind of because by the end it's kind of shitty.
Yeah, it's still somewhat canonical, but I mean, all the interesting ones are in the front anyway. Lust and greed and violence and and uh and all treachery. Um,
Because what's the last one before the last one?
heresy.
Yeah, that one was horrible.
Well, oh well, yeah, no, that's a full gameplay thing. We'll talk in depth
It looked
about
horrible
that.
too. It was just like this just
Yeah,
looks like another level. Like it didn't really stand out in any way.
but yeah, there's lots of like interesting gear mechanisms in the game that I really enjoyed looking at because it's like they thought out of how this this machine in hell would work, and everything seems to be nothing seems out of place. Like I'm not a fucking mechanic or anything like that. I'm not an engineer, but it looks like how it's supposed
Yeah, but
to.
what the fuck is the machine?
And like elevators and shit.
Let's be real. Why the fuck would hell have elevators?
Well, let's just go to gameplay because now it's just gonna be like, yeah, listen, because we're gonna spend a lot of time on this. I think we have varying opinions. Hell has elevators, and to move the elevators, you gotta mash circle. What else do you have to do to mash circle, Colin?
Everything. Open a door, mash circle. It- Get health, mash circle. Get a new relic, mash circle. Kill an
Yeah,
enemy, mash circle. And if you don't mash circle, good luck, because you're gonna die.
and it gets so fucking tedious. Like I'd say a quarter of the way through the game. Because there's a lot of shit you could do with a controller. Mashing circle doesn't have to be all of it. Like you do even the absolving is mashing buttons, which we'll get to. But yeah, no, that's the biggest problem with the gameplay is having to mash circle.
Dude, and I was thinking about it, like, I used to love QuickTime events, and I still like, like Until Dawn and shit, like games built around QuickTime events. But after playing this, I realized how horrible, like, a mechanic, like, QuickTime events are, especially when they're tied to, like, you die if you fuck up. It's
Yeah.
one of the dumbest things ever. It's like, well, you hit square instead of triangle, so you're fucking dead. It's like, what?
It gets really bad too, and it's like the only saving grace for quick time events in this game is that if you're executing an enemy and you fail the quick time event for whatever reason, either you're new or you're not thinking, like you can try it again. Um, but it'll give you a different quick time event. Um,
They're just way too
but
frequent where they become annoying more than like they add nothing to the
yeah,
game.
like if I open a chest, why do I have a mass circle quick time event? And I tested it out. You will not open the chest if you just like
Yeah,
press circle once.
same with the door.
Yeah, you gotta open doors, press like mass circle, and it's like there's shit like there's relics and shit in the game and leveling up. Like it's an actual RPG with like not the most depth, but a decent amount of depth. But nowhere like is it like yeah, you don't have to mass circle anymore.
I just don't like
Which
what does that add to the game? Fucking nothing.
nothing.
It's pointless and it gets really annoying towards the end cuz your arm is literally tired as fuck from hitting circle.
Yeah, I started getting real lax with it. Like I stopped mashing and just like pressing repeatedly.
Oh yeah, for doors, like I was
Yeah.
like turbo mashing doors and I'm like I can't play 6 hours of this doing. There's just no way.
This game is padded beyond padding. Like if there was a seminar on how to create padding, like this game would be front and center. It would be like the pinnacle of padding.
Which is crazy too cuz this game is short as hell. It's not even 6 hours. It's like 4, honestly.
Yeah. And this game could easily be like 2 to like maybe even an hour long. And some enemy like waves are just insane.
They just
Just
don't
like
stop.
yeah, and it's not like you're like scared of dying. Dying isn't that punishing in the game. It puts you practically right where you were before you died, but everything is like a war of attrition. It's not like this one enemy is really good and is gonna beat you, and like not even the bosses are like that because the bosses spawn adds too. It's always like, well, how many times can I get chipped? You know?
And the combat is not it's not great.
It's it's somehow both better and worse than I thought it would be.
It's
Cause
just
like
it just gets like old, I think, quickly. Like it's cool at first, but then you realize like there really isn't that much to it.
yeah, and you don't get new weapons. Like I
That's
feel
the
like that.
worst thing, yeah.
Yeah, because I like Scythe, and I even like the crosses, but I don't think they're like the greatest thing ever. You know. But you can create more depth, and you can get like it. You can get fancy with it and do like specific shit. But like if you die, all that goes out the window, and you just do like the most basic streamline mashing. Like it doesn't reward creativity ever.
And then like some enemies you can't even knock up, so it's like, and which that's half the fun is like the air juggles, and you just can't
Yeah.
do it to most of the enemies.
Um Puzzles are
Brain dead.
brain dead.
If I don't have
Except
to
for
look up,
one.
yeah, but if I never had to look up a single puzzle, which means they're too easy because I'm pretty fucking stupid.
I had to look up one and I was very, very upset. It was where you had to push a statue up and you had to
Oh, you have to put the block onto the
you
lever.
had to yeah, you had to put the block under the lever, but the block is on the other end of the room, you know? So you're just pushing it around and looking and it's right next to the lever the whole time and it makes you feel stupid,
I
which
almost had to look that up. I just stared at it for like 5 minutes and then it came to me. But I was very close to because that was confusing.
um
Oh,
the
you would
trials
have had to look up that one puzzle where you have to kick the shell.
yeah, cuz
And I did I just because I told you what to do, but
yeah, and that's something that like if the internet didn't exist how it did, I would have eventually figured it out just by pressing buttons and shit, but that was just silly. And you're like, "Oh, Virgil tells you." And it's like, "Well, if you have something that like is a puzzle and you need to know this mechanic for the puzzle, Don't make that an optional thing. Like, don't like put that in my face, you know? Maybe it goes back to like the hand holding thing, but because I didn't even know you could grab enemies in the air,
Yeah, I don't think I
until the
ever did
trials
that.
came, and that makes air combat more fun, but it doesn't reward you more, in my opinion. I didn't find a use for keeping enemies in the air for a little bit because I like health bars, you know, and you never know how much. Because sometimes I feel like there's a little bit of RNG going on in the background. I feel like they hid some RNG
Oh,
because
to like your damage.
yeah, because sometimes I kill enemies fast, and then other times like I'd hit the same enemy with the same shit, and it wouldn't kill them. It wouldn't even put them to half health.
Yeah, they probably have different health, which is really stupid, but
The the puzzles were pretty brain dead. The platforming is all beginner traps, all of it.
I fucking hated it, dude. Cause it's literally just meant to like, you died. We're only gonna send you back 1 second, but you still died.
Yeah. And this is the most I've died in a video game in a long time. Like a long, long time. I can't even count how many times I've died.
Yeah, I died to so many dumb quick time events just because I hit the wrong button, which
Yeah,
pisses me off. But
I died more in this 6 hour to 8 hour game. I don't know how long I spent on it, but I died more in Dante's Inferno than I did in Xenoblade. And Xenoblade's 70 hours fucking long.
and harder. Like this game really isn't hard. You literally only die to bullshit.
And you die so fast. The game will set you up for failure cuz like you know there's these hanging ropes and you press R1 to like go faster on the ropes, but like there's other platforming sections where it's like you're on a wall and you press X, you know, and then or you're sliding down something and you press X. But if you press X on a rope, you just fall to your death. Like every time you're on a hanging rope, there's a button to just kill yourself. And I don't know why it's there.
It's almost annoying that like dying has no punishment. It's like, yeah, it would be I don't know, because it's like this weird in between where you die and you don't give a fuck, but you're still so annoyed because you die in the dumbest ways. It's so weird.
Yeah. And then they mix like puzzle and like combat because there's this one time where you're like you're pushing an elevator up, and then every time the elevator goes up, you got a set amount of time before flames shoot out from the ground and you die. Now you're in hell, mind you, and you've been in hell for quite some time. Yet you still haven't built up any resilience to flames coming from the ground, which is insane to me. But they basically insta kill you, even though other flames in the game don't. I would love to hear the lore behind that. So then, like, they give you bullshit enemies and a bullshit puzzle at the same time with beginner traps because you have to hit like specific areas to let the elevator go up, and if you choose wrong you just die. There's not enough time to like backtrack. So that was probably the worst puzzle in the game.
How about when they make you ride that giant monster and then they make you do it again and then they make you do it again
I,
and it loses all its charm because it's the same thing?
yeah, because like the first time you ride the monster I was like, dude, this is so fucking sick, you know, I hope this is in the game more. But then they have you platforming with the fucking monster
Yep.
on the walls and shit.
And it sucks because it's like, oh, and the wall's
Yeah.
crumbling while you have to platform. Have fun.
And then solving puzzles with the monster. It's like, oh, you gotta move this block, otherwise it'll disintegrate. And then they give you an even bigger monster. And you know what you do with the bigger monster? You walk forward, break a bridge, walk forward, and you get the fuck off of it.
Yeah, it's literally just like a fake cutscene, probably like a loading screen, honestly, where it like pans
Yeah.
out while you're on the thing.
Which that's another thing, just to circle back a little bit, because I am shitting on the game a lot. The sense of scale does get really good in some points. Not all the time, but like you feel like the scale is spot on. At least I did sometimes. Um, Worst part of the game is the trials. The trials is stupid. Um, Horrible idea for a level.
Especially right at the end too. It's like, oh, you're so close. Well, you thought going through all of hell was fun. How about you go through all of hell in the form of trials?
Yeah, it seemed like an optional, like, extra thing that should be like a separate mode, but they put it in the game. And it takes out, like, literally all the immersion. The one thing that, like, really held the game, like, together, it was the mayonnaise and the tuna fish sandwich of this game. And they just break it by, like, a little text message under it being like, "Stay in the air for 8 seconds and you get to pass." It's like, under what circumstance would that be a real fucking thing? Like,
I just loved that I was able to cheese it by fucking if you just execute, that counts as airtime. So you just slowly hit circle while you're executing something.
yeah, and it just made me so aggravated. And then after that, they like have the audacity to put you into the ice level where there's exactly one single fucking fight that's a huge pain in the ass, and they have this like disembodied head blowing like air at you. So you can't do any of your cool wind up moves because the startup's too long. Because you're on ice now for the first time in the game and you'll fall off.
And it's literally
I
the only time you do that.
Yeah, and I've never been so pissed. Like, at least in that game, that was when I got the most pissed off. Is that I just got through this huge fucking trial that takes like 45 minutes if you just breeze through it, and now I'm sliding off. Like, really?
I think my biggest issue is every air, like, because they're all unique, yeah, but they're all the same, dude. You
Yeah.
you scale the fucking wall of people, and then you do the block puzzle, and then you fight the horde of enemies, and then you go to the next area and you do the block puzzle and scale the wall and fight like they're all exactly the same, just with like a different skin.
Um, Best part of the game is for me, uh, absolving people of sins or choosing to punish
No,
them.
no, no, that's horrible.
That shit's
It
sick.
doesn't even
Okay.
work right. Half the time you press the button and it does nothing.
What do you mean?
With the DDR,
Oh, well, yeah, that's just if you absolve them. I just like maybe I like the concept more than the execution, but
yeah,
I also think it was executed like to it was executed bare bones, you know?
the idea is way cooler. I do like the idea, and they're actual historical figures, which is cool. But I do
Yeah,
think it's dumb that you have to play this horrible DDR mini game with no music.
no music. No music.
It's one of the dumbest things ever.
But yeah, that was definitely the highlight for me because I don't know, it's cool to like sit there and play like literal judge, jury, and executioner. That's why I liked the Dogs in the Vineyard game. But like, I'm sitting there with Attila the Hun cowering over me, and I have complete control over whether he burns in hell for eternity or gets cleansed of his sins. And then I can choose to absolve him. I can absolve Attila the Hun, and I did. It wasn't the right decision, but I needed more holy power at that time.
I just wish
Um,
it did more. Because all it does is give you more orbs for a skill tree that is pretty ass. There's
and
not a lot
there's
of
some
cool shit in
interesting
there.
stories.
Those are interesting, but they don't matter, you know?
Well, no, but they matter in the moment, and I think that type of matter has its place.
Because like
Cause
that system is perfectly built though for like alternate endings, you know,
yeah,
where you could be like evil, you know, some sort of like whatever you call it system.
it mattered enough for me to think about it, and because like they have 3 lines of text, that's all they give you, you know. And they genuinely made me think about it because I need holy power because I'm about to level up. But all this chick did was fuck around with another dude. She wasn't even married with anyone. It was just like premarital sex. And it's like, all right, fuck it. Like, I'll absolve you, you know? And then you do the dumb DDR shit, like, that really needed music. It needed music bad.
But let's be real. In the end, your decision was based on what orb you wanted.
Yeah.
Like you didn't really give like
What?
Yeah, he shot 1,000 medieval schools up with a space holy gun, and you would have been like, yeah, well, I need the white orb, so guess I'm playing
Yeah.
DDR. Like, it don't fucking matter, dude.
Which it's like hell is such a loose concept for like what you can go for it. It's like what if that's what sent you to hell? It's like, oh, you were playing Dante's Inferno and you had an impure thought of just absolving a person that didn't like it's just like weird. Hell is weird as a concept, which is why I enjoy it so much. It's like these are all the bad people, and some are less bad than others. And some people, like, I don't think that all of the sins deserve to go to hell. I get that's why it's tiered, but,
No, some of them
like,
are dumb. It was like, this guy's a femboy. I'm like, what?
yeah, this
What?
this guy wears maid outfits, and this chick fucking left her husband to fuck his dad, and, like, a lot of this shit it would be like, no, 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 because it's like, oh, this guy was gay. It's like, okay. It's like, so? And then you're like, oh yeah, no, they just think some people believe that like gay people just have a spot in hell for them.
Crazy.
Um, the Lucifer fight. No, 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 no. Okay, all right. So my favorite boss was
Lust.
the Lust boss, cause A, she's the most well designed in my opinion. She reminds me of God of War, to where like it is sort of a puzzle. The ads aren't too annoying. You could actually ignore them, and she's a giant colossal being, um, and again scale and stuff. But the idea of somebody sitting there and going, "Yeah, no, I'm thinking we have her nipples turn to mouths, and then they spit out babies at you." It's just fucking hilarious to me. That
It
some
was
guy was just
something.
like, and then they spend months like, okay, let's animate this and keep going with it. Like, I want to know how many people were like, yo, you want to keep this? And they're like, yeah, nah, fuck it.
What about the
Um,
fight with your dad, dude?
that guy sucks, and so does your brother-in-law. That guy sucks as well. Your brother-in-law is a pussy. He has this shield that I also had to look up. Um,
You gonna
his
look
fight
that up?
is yeah, cause how do you figure that out? Because I'm really like I'm really a forward facing like run at you and hit you type of guy. I like the scythe way more than the
Wait, what'd
cross.
you have to do in that fight? Because I didn't look it up, but I beat him.
You had to shoot him with ranged attacks until he used his sword. You throw the sword at the shield. The shield breaks after two of them, and then you can hit him.
I honestly think I just shot shit at him till he died.
That must have taken forever.
Because I literally don't remember doing any sort of mechanic. I just remember just like hitting him and he eventually died.
But yeah, that's the mechanic. Your dad is
That fight was annoying. With the
his second phase was the worst because like no phases individually are a pain in the ass, like are like unbeatable, like this is bullshit. But it's the combination of going from the second phase to the third phase because the second phase throws out AoEs, which vastly limits the way you play. So you have to play around these AoEs and then you're going to get hit by strays because you're always like it's either you're going to get hit by the AoE or you're going to get hit by a projectile. And then by the time you reach the third phase, he has like huge AoE, so you're gonna get hit by those, and you end up dying in the third phase. At least I did a lot. So yeah, fuck that guy. And I never used his power up.
I used it all the time. That shit was broken.
Lust was broken, dude.
It was broken, but it just took too much mana.
Yeah, that's fair. Cause I would do like I would do lust into like divine intervention, so I got like so I'm like I'd start out not being able to be like interrupted with lust, and then I'd like have a had like a get off me tool with the what do you call it, divine intervention, which then also let me not get countered. I mean interrupted. and then I go into like Super Saiyan mode, which is fucking lackluster. Like the the rage mode in like God of War or like Devil Time and Dante other Dante game, Devil May
Real
Cry,
Dante,
like
yeah.
all those other like games, like they make you feel like powerful when you do your power up. And in this game there's not like a screen effect that really matters. That you barely even notice it except for the fact that you're going much faster.
And
Like
you take no damage. That's the only reason I ever used it. I was like, oh, I just don't get hit now? Okay.
yeah. And it's like it really could have done with like maybe just like a pulsating like effect or something, like
He should have got naked so his cock could just swing
he
around.
he gets naked enough. All right, Lucifer fight. You can take it away.
I
You
mean,
can
phase
start it.
one is horrible.
Phase 1 is really bad.
It's one of the
Phase
worst
2 is
fights ever.
hilarious.
I mean, they both suck. Well, it's hilarious because he has a big hairy cock.
Yeah, so phase 1 is like you're shooting shit at him, and that's the only thing you can do. He's like in the background. It's like you're playing Galaga or something. Like you can only shoot shit at him. And I just imagine people just going full unholy and just powering up their scythe, be like, oh, scythe is cool. Fucking slashy, slashy. And then the first fucking half of that fight takes forever. Like, so that, yeah, no. Wholeheartedly agree. First phase.
One of the worst final bosses in any game I've ever played.
Second phase, Lucifer comes out of his big fucking body. But then he walks out strutting his gigantic cock. Like, it's huge.
It's a
And then the
horse.
whole second fight, you just beat the shit out of his cock. Like you're swinging your scythe, dude, and it's wiggling all around. I couldn't stop laughing.
It's so stupid.
I've never seen something so obscene. And with how many tits were in the game before Lucifer's cock, I'm like, wow, they're really just scared of showing cock. Like they're just not gonna show any cock in this game. It's just gonna be tits and butts and all of that. No, Lucifer has this giant wiggly cock that you slap around for like 10, 15 minutes.
Horrible fight. And then it ends on a quick time event. Because why wouldn't it?
Yep. It ends like Nausicaa, it ends like Pokemon, it ends on all
Hold
the
on, hold on. We gotta talk
power
about
of
the story, dude.
Oh, the whole story? Okay, so
Horrible.
the anime's better and it has a better ending.
Might be the worst way to start a game story wise ever. The we
Yeah, it has interesting parts,
No,
but
it really doesn't, dude. Because you're basically just playing through this game and you're getting flashbacks for 4 hours that you were
yeah,
already told in the beginning of the game.
it does like do this Pulp Fiction-esque, all right, we're back here, all right, we're back here, it's like
It's like, did you know your fucking wife died? Yeah, I knew since the beginning of the game. You didn't have to tell me 3 hours in that she's dead again. I get it.
and you never and that's just like a plot point that doesn't get addressed at the end.
Nope.
Like Beatrice is laying on the ground, you fight Lucifer, and then you're like naked in a field.
She goes to heaven, dude.
And it's just so you start the game, your wife's dead, and throughout the game you realize that your wife's dead because you're an asshole. Like you're not a good
Yeah,
character.
you fucked a slave.
You fucked a slave, you killed a bunch of heretics because you're impatient. You're just like all around not a great guy. And Beatrice really did nothing wrong. And you like just go through this whole thing to redeem yourself. And you end up fighting Lucifer, and then Lucifer ends up begging like a little bitch when he realizes you have the upper hand. He wants you to partner with him, and you're like, nah, fuck that. Because you're so full of holier than thou justice feeling. Like you're and then you're in a field with your ass out, and then it goes to be continued. How old is this game?
Over at 12 years old. There's never
It's
going to be a sequel. It's one of
it's
the worst
12 years
endings ever,
old.
dude. That really fucked because I already wasn't really like that into the game. Ending on to be continued, it can't be worse. That's worse than this was all a dream.
And it doesn't even make sense for it to continue because next is Purgatory. I don't know how you'd fight through Purgatory.
Yeah, dude, it's a fucking it's a farming simulator where you're just naked tilling the soil.
Yeah,
Like,
and and the story doesn't make sense for Purgatory because the whole point of you going to hell in the first place was to save Beatrice. This is not canon, by the way. Dante was a fucking poet. Like, they completely destroyed the source material.
yeah, they read a paragraph. This is what they did. They watched 5 minutes of God of War, saw that it had mashing, and went, yeah, let's add that. And then they read a paragraph of Dante's Inferno, and they made a game. And for some reason, people think it's sick.
And, like, and I'm really glad I watched the anime. Anybody that, like, wants this game not for the gameplay, but for the, like the story, like, you think the story is cool, just watch the anime because it puts it together better. It puts a nice little, neat little bow on it. The game does not make sense to
The
have
anime
to be
doesn't end
continued
on
at the
to be
end.
continued.
There's no reason for it because he only has two more places to go. He has Purgatory, which would have no combat. It would make no sense. And then Heaven, and there's no reason for him to fight in Heaven at all.
You could go back to hell.
If he goes back to hell, if they make a sequel to this game and he goes back into hell, th- I
You gotta
I would go
climb
on
through hell. You
strike.
gotta climb through hell in reverse, dude.
And it doesn't even parts of the hell doesn't even make sense. All right, because you know I've dabbled in the literature. All right, where the fuck was Judas? Judas is supposed to be sitting right next to the devil. Where was Judas? You're collecting Judas's silver coins the whole
That's
game,
that's the blue guy.
dude. And fucking like where's the wall of hands? There's two games that do the wall of hands tremendously. They what do you call it? Um
You're climbing all the wall of hands every 5 minutes, dude.
that too. Two games did it really good. Senua, Blade of Sacrifice, is that what it's called? Hellblade?
It's Hellblade. I forget what the rest of it is, but yeah.
Senua Hellblade, horrible game. Let's get back onto that. But it has a really, really, really good portion of the hands of hell, like grabbing at you. And then Detroit Become Human. Um, they depict machine hell, where you're in a landfill of broken machines, and
shout
that has the hands of hell.
shout out David Cage, dude.
Yeah. So the fact that this game doesn't have that is kind of disappointing because that's a really like well depicted already like portion, and they just like, oh, we'll scrap that. Uh, I feel like some of the people like confused the nine layers of hell with the seven deadly sins a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think they definitely did because that's basically what this game is, dude.
And like they did heresy, but they had no idea how to do heresy or treachery or any of that. And that's why they did the trials. Cause like heresy is just one big fucking puzzle. And then treachery is the trials, and violence is the boss battle. So it's like they had like, oh man, we could totally do lust. I got all these cool ideas for lust. Oh, greed we could like ball out. Like greed's a great like level design area. But then they like fucking lost it. And I get it, heresy's tough. Like you can't really like they introduce a new enemy of like heretics that you killed with shields and stuff and
They
but
should have
that's
just
not even
skipped it.
yeah, I mean that's not even a good depiction of heretics. Like cuz heretics are just people that are like, yeah, don't believe in God, fuck that.
And that's not even like because they don't really make it a point. Like they're like, oh yeah, you killed those people, but that's not even why he's there. He's there because he fucked some other lady.
Yeah.
That is, they give they care way more that he fucked somebody than that he killed like thousands of people theoretically.
Yeah, which Beatrice, like high key, is a flat out dumbass because for some reason she made the deal with the devil that Dante, a soldier in the Crusades or whatever the fuck he is, dude, would be faithful forever. Like, why would you even make that deal?
Yeah.
Under what circumstance would that be something that you would want to even partake in? Why would you deal with the devil to begin with?
And that depiction of the devil is so fucking lame. Black smoke. Are you kidding me?
And they deck Beatrice out in this like hell gear. You never fight her.
Because she's chilling with fucking Diesel soot. Satan, dude.
Yeah, but yeah, story is
Horrible.
loose.
There's barely anything. Dude, the story is told in the worst. It might be the worst way to tell a story ever. And it's still pointless. And it's not even on the source material. It's fucking horrible.
There is one thing that made me really think, and you don't have to partake in this, but it is a real good thought experiment because I know it doesn't matter, but had you if you're given the power to absolve an atheist of their sins, and their only sin is being an atheist, in a world where hell is actually real and God is actually real, do you absolve them of that sin?
Wouldn't they instantly just not be an atheist then? If they're in hell?
Yeah,
Well,
because
then I
any
guess they believe in God. So
yeah. So it's like that's a stupid sin. They learn immediately. And they're like, "Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was wrong. My bad." Like you can't be wrong. You can't
that is
question.
fucking dumb as hell. Right
It's
next
like
to Attila the Hun, dude.
because I feel like atheism is completely different. Like if you murder somebody, like you're in hell and you repent, you know? But like some part of you might still feel like that murder was justified. But if you're an atheist in hell, like you're auto repenting forever under every circumstance because you were instantly proven wrong.
But some atheists, they'd be the people to fucking. I don't know about this. This still doesn't prove God is real.
No, this is a dream. Like
Yeah, this is actually the DMT that was released from my brain on death.
yeah, I just imagine like some snark. Well, this proves that hell is real, but not
Yeah,
necessarily God.
the fucking amazing atheist, dude.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, no. Great depictions of hell in some aspects. Bad depictions of hell in the other. Um. I remember there being like shit about people protesting this game. I couldn't find it. I
One,
remember there being a specific like situation where people were picketing and like with signs like saying that hell is not a game or some shit like that. And I could not for the life of me find out like where that took place and when that was.
I wonder if
Um
that was some like ARG shit.
well that's what I'm thinking too, that maybe like nobody really cared. And cuz like the people that are picketing for this game being like no. Because if anything, it's a Christian game that that is good for like Christian promo. Um, because it's one of the best Christian games ever.
We can't
Low
call this a
bar.
Christian game.
Yeah, no, it's all about Christianity and Catholicism.
Sort of.
All right, it's about the fan fiction. All right, sorry, it's the depiction of fan fiction that was written X hundred years ago about the Bible.
It's pretty fucking loosely based on anything.
Yeah. It's just as much a Christian game as Doom is. Um
Which we're not calling Doom a Christian game,
I
dude.
do.
That is insane.
It's a game about biblical figures.
So is Pokemon a satanic game?
Does Pokemon have hell and demons?
According to Christians.
No.
What do
To
you
my
mean?
knowledge, their problem was it promoted Zionism and gambling.
Is it a Zionistic game, dude?
I don't see it. I don't know where it is, but this is all right. This is very Dante's Inferno is very clearly cut and dry a game about hell,
Yeah, okay, I
which
can give you
in
that.
turn makes it about like at least connected to the Bible strongly. Um only due to the fact that Dante's Inferno the source material is strongly connected to the Bible, albeit like headcanon and fan fiction. Um,
This is more okay. This is more of a calling it a Christian game just sounds so stupid because then I just think of Creed for some reason.
well, it is kind of like a Creed type video game, you know?
If you give
It's a
this game a
watered
good
down
rating and then you just compared it to Creed, I'm gonna
it's a
be
watered
pissed.
down version. All right, well, like we'll put like God of War and like Devil May Cry as like good rock bands. And then you got Creed, you know? And it's like rock but with God. This game is like oh, it's like a game but with like God, you know?
See, but the God is like Devil May Cry and God of War are sick games that are about demons and shit and gods, but they're not about Christianity ruins this game, if anything.
Well, and here's another thing. You literally fight with Lucifer. Where the fuck's Jesus? Where's God?
That's what I'm saying. It can't be a because like it's only hell. That's also weird that it's like fine to make a video game where you beat up Satan, but you know there'd be fucking. Well, I guess they made that fighting game with Jesus in it, and no one cared.
That doesn't count.
What do you mean?
It was sick, but I
You
don't
could
know.
you can't make a game where you like where Jesus is the enemy and you shoot him in the head.
No, you can't. But I have never seen a game where you even talk to Jesus. I haven't seen a game with Jesus in the room.
I mean, would that be a good game though?
I feel like it can be done. I feel like there's no depiction of Jesus in any like game at all, like as a NPC character, like anywhere.
I just don't
So
know how it
like
would work. If I was playing like Tales of Arise and then Jesus is just a character, like I'm done playing the game. It's so it would just ruin any game. Like, why the fuck is Jesus here?
and they'll like do allegories and metaphors of like, oh, this character's the Jesus in this game,
Which that I'm
like,
fine with.
but it's like you got a game about hell and like if anything, like Lucifer is giving you his utmost attention and Jesus is just sitting in the background like, I don't give a fuck. It's not something Jesus would say, but it's essentially the vibe he's giving off.
But is this
Because this
really
is big
Jesus?
news.
But is this his problem?
Yeah.
Why?
I think it's definitely him and God's problem if a dude is tearing through hell. The check and balance system of all the souls of eternity.
But that's not their problem. They don't live
Yes, it
there.
is. Where would the souls go?
They're going to heaven. Yeah, why does Dante have the
Then what the
power to
fuck is
absolve?
heaven?
What? Wait, why does he have the power to absolve souls?
Because he has that cross.
The fuck does that do?
It's a cross that absolves souls. That's the power bestowed upon
So they
to it.
go in him?
Go into the cross.
Who gave him the
Well,
power?
actually, presumably God. Hang on, let me look that up real quick.
See, and this is why this game's fucking horrible. None of that was explained.
That warrants a look up because I don't think that was explained.
I understand him killing people. He has death's scythe, so I guess like yeah, that makes sense to me.
Oh, even better, dude. Okay, so the cross is bestowed the power of absolving souls and capturing some souls, right? Because it was given to him by Beatrice, and his love for Beatrice powers it up.
No, this game's horrible, dude. What? I mean, which Beatrice?
The
The
the Beatrice he wanted to,
yeah,
that
but
went to.
the human Beatrice gave it to him.
Yeah, and all right, in the film, it says that Beatrice gave him the cross, and it had a thorn of Jesus's crown in it. I remember that, right? But in the game, there's no mention of that. It's just made out of gold.
This game sucks.
So in the film is better than the game from a story wide, 100%, 100% better than the game because it makes sense. They looked at this. That means that the people making the story for the anime went, "This is a huge plot hole. We gotta fix this."
Yeah, because it came out after, right?
Yeah, well, I think it came out closely to the same time, but that could have been fixed in a line, like any part in development. It could have just been like, text, "This is crown made from Jesus' thorn."
I don't even remember any of that, but most of the
Well,
story is pretty
the
forgettable.
Jesus' thorn is in the anime.
Yeah, I don't even remember him getting a cross.
Oh yeah, no, he started out with the cross because remember it starts in like 25% the way through where he's going into hell. Like he already has the cross. The game also has horrible continuity errors.
Yeah, like it's just so forgettable. It's so confusing to follow sometimes.
And what's fucked up is that like he swore upon Beatrice's cross to forsake all of the pleasures of the flesh until he returned to her. So contextually, that should mean that the cross doesn't work anymore either. In the game, not necessarily the anime.
Yeah.
Um that's about it. The game needs more weapons. The fact that they give you this piss ass sword, you fight one enemy and you get this scythe and you fight everyone with the scythe afterwards is kind of dumb because they set the precedent of taking weapons from enemies.
The game sucked.
Yeah, I guess we're in the opinion portion. This game had a lot of good ideas that just were not implemented correctly at all. I stand by the absolving or punishing is a good idea. It might not be it does not matter. Like you don't get a different ending to my knowledge.
There's
There
only
might be
one
some
ending.
super secret ending um that nobody has found yet. But they don't even give you stats. Like
Oh, like how many you absolved?
yeah, they don't like go at the end of the level and be like you're this evil. Like there's no like good evil meter. Like you know how the closed fist and the open palm for fucking Jade Empire?
Yep,
Like
yep. Or
I like shit
Fable.
like that. Yeah, or Fable. Like I like shit like that. But I guess it's sitting right there at the top next to your fucking profile anyway, is like how unholy to holy you are. Um the I keep going, well, if the game didn't have this and if the game didn't have this, if the like it's got bad parts, but it also has really really good parts. But none of those good parts are by gameplay. So it
I think all you like is the levels.
yeah, but
Like
that's
how
what
they
you're in the
look.
whole time, you know?
Yeah, but the way you interact with them sucks.
This game's a wonder ball. You remember wonder balls?
The fucking candy choking hazard.
Yeah, it's a wonder ball. It's surrounded by chocolate, and chocolate's good. Chocolate's dope. I like chocolate. And like you're inside the wonder ball, and it's mostly empty. It has a choking hazard in it. and it has a bunch of shitty candy. But on the outside, you don't know that, you know? Because on the outside looking in before I played this game, I'm like, damn, all this shit looks so sick. And then you get inside the Wonder Ball, and you're like, wow, this game is padded, and it has an obsession with making you mash circle, and the quick time event's annoying, and the puzzles are kind of brain dead, and it's just you just keep picking at it. You keep picking at it like a scab. But then the game will give you like a golden nugget, and it'll be like, oh wow, they actually like did this well, and that'll keep you going.
I just don't see it's because like Wolfenstein, where people say this game is so sick, and it's not okay. It's not horrible, but it is not nearly as cool as I was led to believe.
I'll give it this. Mechanically, it runs fine. Wolfenstein did not.
What do you mean?
Wolfenstein had problems.
Are you talking about just like the game itself, or
Yeah, the loading times,
oh yeah, yeah, but that's
the
just because
the
it's a shitty port,
yeah.
but it's still part of the game. But and we also played this on like an emulator, which isn't exactly.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We
Wait, we
yeah,
own the game. Emulation's legal.
exactly. But like the I give it a 3.
3. Well, I can't give it. See, I was thinking 3, but there's no way. Because if you like the game and gave it a 3, then
It's
I
less than 3? Damn.
it has to be.
Well, I like the game from a realistic standpoint because to say I like the game would imply that I like the gameplay, but I only like half the I like exactly half the game. But the subject matter gives it that extra point 0.5 because I do enjoy hell more than most places um as a place to be in a video game. I think it's a really interesting concept to fight through hell. Um and that's why it's that extra point 0.5 instead of just a flat 50 because for everything that's good about this game, I could say something bad about it.
I don't know. Either a 2 or a 2.5. I don't like it's playable and it might be worth playing. What game did we play? Oh, Bahamut Lagoon. I think I give that a 2.5 also. The only difference with like that is like if you want to play this game, probably you should play it because it's not horrible. But uh, like Bahamut Lagoon, don't fucking play that because that shit is unplayable.
And that's where the rating system really falters in my head. Like I keep ping-ponging back and forth and it's like if I give this game a higher score than I give another game in the future, like that implies that that game's better and that's just not true.
Yeah,
And but that's the whole point of the rating system cuz like I don't know, like I could give Bahamut Lagoon a 2.5, and I could give Bug Fables a 2.5 also. I do not like those games equally. Like,
they just do different things, like bad and good. You know.
yeah,
Same with this game. It's like, yeah, I'd probably give it a 2.5, which is what I think I gave Bahamut Lagoon. I might have gave it a 3, but like this game does shit that's better. It's way more playable than Bahamut Lagoon, but the story's way worse. Cause like
I
there's no interesting characters in this game at all.
yeah, I give this game all right. A seal of approval is a strong seal.
That's a little
I give
crazy.
this game all right. Let me put it to you this way. This game scratches an itch that not many other games do. If you're looking to fight through hell, aside from playing a few levels in God of War, because you do climb out of hell in pretty much every God of War aside from the reboot. If you want a full game that's all about fighting your way through hell, this is the best game to do it. And it's an itch that like some people have. I have that itch. I think it's a really cool concept. And if you're like me, then play the game and listen to the podcast again, and you'll understand all of our points.
I would
Um,
say if you haven't played God of War or Bayonetta or any game that's even similar to this, play any other game. because they're
That
all better than this game.
that was my next point. While you are fighting through hell and it does scratch that specific itch, this type of game is done way better in many other franchises.
Yeah, this is easily like the worst version of whatever you'd call this genre.
Spectacle fighter, right? This is spectacle fighter.
Yeah. I mean, even I don't even like the combat in Nier, and it's better than this combat.
That's a whole other story. I think I maintain that the combat in Nier was deliberate.
Deliberately bad.
Yes. Because it starts off really good. You're like, oh, this is interesting, And then you get through it and it's not that great. And then, like, you get by the end and you realize, like, you get really, like, existential with it. Like, you're just clanking with metal on metal. And I think that works really well with Nier's story. Um,
It could. That's some Brad shit, dude. It's like Yoko Toro definitely meant to make the game suck.
well, with how
It's
the only reason I
possible.
say that is because with how strong the writing is in that game. You know what? That's the message of this podcast. Go play Nier.
I mean, that is a vastly better game. It's not even in the same universe.
Yeah, Nier Automata is incredible compared to this game. Wow, stacking these two games up is rough. I get one came out later than the other, but
Even then, dude.
wow. I'm gonna have to like reevaluate how I rate games.
Why?
Because like I don't know, I might have to start measuring them in like fucking this game's a toenail. Okay, this game's a skyscraper. I don't know how to compare these things anymore? Because
Yeah,
saying Bahamut Lagoon's a 2.5 and this game's a 3 is just like wild. Like,
because you enjoyed this way more.
yeah, in this game I got to control my character.
And yeah, you didn't even like Bahamut Lagoon. You didn't hate it, but
No, it's just like if I have to, all right, I'm gonna
well,
say this and you're gonna make me eat my words. If I have to play one more turn-based tactical RPG, I'm going to flip the fuck out.
we're definitely gonna play another one eventually.
Yeah, well,
What's wrong? It's a good genre.
it is so fucking tedious. Not that this game isn't. And
You got
I've been picking duds. I take full responsibility for my duds because this is 3 in a row now where I had full faith in the game.
this one is on the better side. It's like it's mediocre. It's not like because like Wolfenstein was actually like a surprisingly piece of shit,
Yeah, I was duped hard by Wolfenstein
and
because
then
that's a good idea too.
and Recore was just flat out bad.
Yeah, Recore, that's a problem with me vetting. I did not vet the game enough. I didn't really look into the gameplay. Um,
Do you think Bug Fables is more tedious than Bahamut Lagoon? There's no way, right?
yes, I do.
That's crazy.
Yes, I 100% do. The a big issue with Bug Fables that I had was the sense of progression was not there. Um, in Bahamut Lagoon it was.
Yeah,
And
because you
not
become
only
invincible.
yeah, and not only that, I felt like I had more control over the sense of progression in Bahamut Lagoon, even if I didn't have control of my fucking characters.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
it's a deeper game
yeah.
mechanically.
Um, I have yet to play a game that I disliked playing as much as Bug Fables since playing Bug Fables. That is just it was a snooze fest, dude. The only game there's two games worse than Bug Fables: Max Payne 3 and Battalion Wars.
Recore's worse than Bug Fables. It has to be.
Recore stimulated. Bug Fables did not. At no point did I feel stimulated in Bug Fables. Recore, at least there were portions of that game where I felt stimulated.
Now, do you count Parasite Eve as a tactical turn-based RPG? Because it is.
Yes. But that's a different thing. I'm trying to fit because I've been thinking about this a lot. I have to figure out a term to separate the Xenoblades and the Parasite Eves, and to some extent even the Tales series.
Well, those are just fucking action-based JRPG or whatever they call them.
Yeah, and because there's a spectrum there that I didn't really know existed before we started doing book club. Granted, it's been damn near 2 years now we've been doing book
Because you
club,
do
but
like turn-based. It's just a very specific type of turn-based.
yeah, I don't like if you're gonna have like a line turn base, such as Bug Fables or Darkest Dungeon or something like that, you have to give me something that stimulates me, whether it be the level progression or or the combat itself. I am not a huge fan of that genre to begin with. But if you give me nothing, I'm miserable. However, if you do something like Indivisible did, or the one that the Skullgirls people made, it's either Indivisible or
It's
Invincible.
indivisible.
Indivisible. I loved that game, and it has like a turn-based combo system. Um, Also Persona. Persona, I really enjoyed playing. I would never play it again, unless they came out with like Persona 6 or whatever. Um, I might play Persona 5 again, but I tried to go back and play Persona 4 and I'm like, I can't. It takes too long. Um, and it's weird because I love card games. I think we've went over that.
Yeah, and those are as turn-based as it get. There's no,
Yeah.
there's
But it's
nothing
also the
around it.
most stimulation because you're building what the combat scenario is going to be beforehand, and then you got a little bit of RNG, which I don't like, but it does add to
I
the
forgot we
fun.
played Voice of Cards too, and you didn't hate that.
It's a nothing game. I have
E-
nothing to say about that game.
Even though that wasn't a card game, but that game was okay.
No, it was a turn-based RPG with a card aesthetic with the most boring generic story in all of existence.
It had some cool
It
characters though.
it was so boring. Dude,
You didn't like the buff character? There were some cool, funny parts, dude.
there was funny parts. Okay, the chick takes the buff potion and she's a buff chick. That was funny.
The narrator was good too. I
The
don't think the story
narrator,
was good, but he narrated it well.
that game without the narrator is quite literally nothing. Um, and it comes from Yoko Taro, and he's earned my respects. Yoko Toro's like Eminem, all right? Like he'll hit a dud, but you're gonna listen to him because he made great shit in the past.
So the thing with that is he didn't make that game in any way. He basically supervised it, and so he basically went, "Yeah,
I
this is a
gotcha.
game,"
That makes sense.
which explains why it's boring. Because this shit's usually not.
Yeah, but that game had charm. I will give it that. Voice of Cards had charm. And the charm carried it a little bit, but it had to be carried by something because the combat is lackluster, and the story is paint by numbers. Um, what's your game, dude?
My game. We're playing all of Castlevania.
What do you mean all of Castlevania?
The entirety.
That's too many Castlevanias.
What do you mean? It's only 23.
What are we playing?
I just told you.
Dude, I'm not beating 23 Castlevania games, and we've already beaten one.
Well, we're skipping that one.
You recent no the Colin. What is your game?
I just told you.
We can't beat all the Castlevanias.
Some of them are short. Most of them.
Yeah, but you just beat Symphony of the Night as well, so we got to skip that one.
True. 21 Castlevania games.
This is dumb. This is a dumb bit.
That's on the table though, right? We could do that. A whole series.
You put that on the table. All right. I want to make it clear because I don't know if this is in the podcast. This was probably before we were doing the podcast. It definitely was. This fucker chose 2 games for his game of the month. He got a 2-for-1 deal.
It was a series.
He had No More Heroes and No More Heroes 2. What the fuck is that?
You could do it.
I probably will do it in the future. I just haven't found a series worth doing it
Two
with.
horrible games. We're playing Castlevania Aria of Sorrow.
Aria of Sorrow.
It's on the
I've
Game
never
Boy
even heard of that.
Advance.
What?
What do you mean?
What?
It's a good game.
What is this?
It's a good game.
How do you know?
Because I only pick good games.
So we're playing the Game Boy Advance Castlevania Aria of Sorrow.
Unless you want to play all of
No, I'll do one.
them. I don't think that's a bad idea though.
There's no way. I can.
For October, dude.
Oh yeah, you got October this year. Damn.
I got it last year too. I think. I'm pretty sure we played Castlevania on October last year.
Yeah, we did. Because you're like, this is as spooky as it's getting.
Oh, and then you made me play
And
fucking
then
Resident Evil. Yeah, garbage.
which is not a bad game. It just has a horrible story.
It's a bad game.
All right, Castlevania Aria of Sorrow.
That's it. Maybe Brad will come back in 3 years.